I would like to focus now, to go somehow back to the topic, post-genocide society. How do we live after genocide? For those who survived and for new generations. I think that this traumatic event is transgenerational. I'm third generation after Holocaust in my family. My grandfather was killed, executed in concentration camp Zemun, near Belgrade, where all Jewish community, 90% of them, disappeared, were killed. I'm not a direct victim, I'm not survivor. My mother is survivor. But I'm third generation affected until now with this trauma, with this pain. And I believe deeply, after all those years I'm involved in this topic, that we have to talk about that. We have to listen. Because in my family we had, in sociology we call that double wall of silence. When side of survivors doesn't talk about that, to protect children from pain and suffering they escaped or survived. In one moment, children are growing up very quickly, you know that. Children have possibility to listen, different stories, and they ask the question, what's happened? Tell me what's happened. And without answer from mother, from parents, from society, from this gallery, from Hasan Ukanovic, from books, from Goldstone, we children, when I was child and you are now, we close our wall. And it's the name, the whole process is named the double wall of silence. I wish you to break, to shatter the silence. It's not easy, but it's better. To know wars is terrible, but to not know the wars, it's even more terrible. This is a sentence from Dan Baron, my colleague and my partner. We worked together, and we together established this course, War Crimes, Genocide and Memories at Hamburg University in 2002, together with Professor Riederser. Dan Baron and Professor Riederser are not alive, but the course has some results, impacts. You can find more about that. I think that it's very important to learn that we have especially survivors, and after that we all who are indirect victims after genocide in Srebrenica, to learn to establish one new culture to work through we didn't have until now. Again, I say the role of ICTI with all mistakes and all we can organize 10 conferences, 100 conferences about that. I deeply believe that without ICTI in 93, not today, in 93, the time is very important. Kairos is very important. Greek people have two words for time, kairos and chronos. Kairos is time when we have to do something in right moment. And it was kairos for us to talk about that, to collect evidence with all obstacles. I don't want to open question because I have no time. To work through, this is new culture, to say, yes, it's painful for me. It's painful for me and I want to talk about that, I want to know and I want to understand. The first level in the process of working through psychologically, and emotionally, the first is what we are doing now. It means to listen to fact, evidence about violent acts which are our life today. This is the first, and it's very important to have facts, evidence, to establish what's really happened with my family, with my community, with my village, with people who are part of my life or society in two levels, macro and micro level. The second step in this, we have to put events, violent events, traumatic events, individual or collective, in frame, historical, religious, ethical, moral, emotional. With the frame, we could apply this understanding. First we have information, after that we have knowledge, after that understanding. Without frame, without context, it's very problematic in which way we are going. The third level is very strong emotional reaction. The fourth level is very strong contra-emotional reaction. from another side, let's say, in the conflict. And the fifth level, which I want that this society, this post-genocide region once will have and reach, this is the time when we could liberate ourselves from pain and from event or persons who provoked our pain and our trauma. This is very short model how to work trauma through the trauma, especially in this region. I mentioned in the first part that this region for centuries didn't work through trauma in culture of silence and culture of lying and manipulation. And I think that it's very important. I would like to open the question about reconciliation. I think that we now live in environment, I'm talking now more about you, about next generation. Reconciliation, everybody uses this word with understanding or without understanding what does it means. Sometimes to abuse people, to manipulate people and such things. Reconciliation is not from social science discourse. Reconciliation is religious discourse applied in social sciences and after that even more in politics, in everyday life politics. What is more difficult to understand? Reconciliation exists only in Christianity, Catholics, Protestants, and Orthodox. Reconciliation as a word doesn't exist in Islam and Judaism. I mentioned genocide in Guatemala against Maya people, and I mentioned genocide in Cambodia against Khmer people. In both languages, there is no word reconciliation. They use word healing, healing with knowing what's happened, and healing through the heart, they say. In totally, Khmer language and Maya language are totally different languages, but praxis are similar. Genocide as a social practice as well creates new categories, new words, and you know as well about that. Commission for Truth and Reconciliation. It was possible in South Africa regarding the great leader of Nelson Mandela, what already mentioned a prosecutor and Judge Goldstone. I'm afraid that we have no such leaders in this moment, or maybe I cannot see them, because almost the same political elite is now in the top positions, even if not the same people, but the same ideology. Your generation has very, very difficult legacy. I really wish you to work through and to find the way to find this way for healing after this long trauma. As well, I want to share with you one, let's say, positive, my own experience. I told you I'm coming from Vojvodina. I was born there, and I declare myself as Vojvođanka. And about 40,000 in last census, 40,000 of us, we are new category with new reality. About 40,000 of us declared ourselves in the census as Vojvođani. I would like to share with you something very important. In the process of healing, I think that it's important to know that 200,000 of us left because we didn't want to apply our potential for violence and killings against our former country, same citizens. We were citizens of same state. 200,000, not 20. Raphael Lemkin, the father of Genocide Convention, said, the numbers are very significant. It means so many people, not 20, not 30, it's important as well, but 200,000 of us left and didn't come back. Just to not participate in this what we felt that could happen. We didn't know that. I would like to share with you only short story. In village Trešnjevac, village of cherries, we could translate. In village of Trešnjevac, near the border with Hungary and Vojvodina, in May, in this time, approximately, in the beginning of May, already 200 men from this village were mobilized for war in Bosnia. They were mobilized, and 6 women, not organized, it was without plan, without anything, one from local ambulance, from local kindergarten, women stopped the buses. and they were not sent in the war in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, in Gorazde, in Srebrenica, and all those places. And it could be very nice end of my speech, brave women, brave men who didn't want to go. But in few hours, the village of Trešnjevac was in the siege for 3 months with 92 military tanks, because they were so scared, this top political and military elite, of this disease of deserting, which was born in this village. Many of them were in the prison after military trial. Some of them made suicide, great majority left. And I see in this deserting movement in Vojvodina, I see some grain of hope that you could trust us, that we are not going to betray you again. And this is for me better than reconciliation. We have to create atmosphere to create that you trust us again with our proofs that we are not going to betray you again and again. And this is my message to you today, to reflect, to trust, to listen, and to talk. Thank you.